What's up, guys, and welcome back to What the Frick podcast. I wanted to start off today's episode with a little mini update on my life. Just this past weekend, I went out on a first date, and for me, it's kind of a big deal because one, I'm really picky about who I choose to go on dates with, and two, I haven't gone on a first date in maybe like 3 months, so I have just been procrastinating it. Between the podcast, my personal life, work life, it's just a lot trying to fit in a stranger that you don't even know if you're gonna like or not. So I'm just very picky about what I choose to do with my time. And luckily the date went really well. A fun fact, I guess, is he actually found my podcast before meeting me and was kind of making jokes about, oh, I'm going to study the podcast and, get like a go-to guide for you. And I'm just like, are you actually listening to this, or are you just kind of saying that, And on our date, he was like, I really liked that one story about those guys you met who, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, like you actually listened to it. I'm like, well, thanks for, being a fan, but also I'm like, I don't know if I want the person I'm seeing or dating or talking to be listening to this. So, not sure how I feel about that. By the time this comes out, if we're still talking and he hears this, it'll be really funny. Because he was like, are you going to talk about this on your podcast? So I guess I am. Here you go. But today's episode is not about him. It is actually just about men in general and how they really think that they have what we call the audacity. Men just thinking they can pretty much do whatever they want and get away with it. And I've compiled a small list of times where men just really had the audacity. And I wanted to share it with you guys. So the first one I thought of was a guy, I wouldn't even call it a date because it wasn't a date. Met him on Hinge, and he was like, hey, like, I want to meet you, but I don't really want to take you out and like pay for you. He didn't quite say it in those words, but just that right there, I was like, wait, what? Red flag. And he explained it actually pretty eloquently, as as a guy, you have all this pressure to like spend money, and you might not even like the person, they might just be using you, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, like I get that to some extent. And he was like, would you be down to just like meet up and like go for a walk around town or something and just see if we vibe? And I was like, okay, like that's fine. But it was kind of weird because as we were texting about like going on this walk date, he was like, okay, meet me in this park at like 7:30. And I was like, I don't really want to meet you in a park at night. Like, I'm not sure how many people are going to be at this park. I've never been to this park. And so I was like, well, can we meet at this like outdoor mall type area instead? Like literally a 5-minute drive from the park he had suggested. And he was like, well, what's wrong with the park? And me being the straightforward person that I am, I was just like, honestly, like, I don't know you. You could be a serial killer. I would feel a lot more comfortable walking in an area where, like, there's restaurants, there's a ton of people just hanging outside. Like, I'm just going to feel safer. And, like, don't you want me to feel comfortable? And he said yes, of course. But the way he, like, went about it, it was super weird. He just, like, it was like a chore for him. I'm like, bro, if you live right near this park and you're not willing to drive like 5 minutes to like meet me, like I think I drove like 10 minutes. So I was like, this is like, it already didn't start off on a great foot to say the least, but I was like, whatever, like I was just kind of trying to like get back out there. I'm like, it had been a while since I had, gone out with someone. But anyway, so I finally meet up with him on this walk and it did not go well. Again, he had the audacity. And the entire time we were walking around, I want to say it was like maybe an hour that we walked, I barely got a word in for one, and all this man could talk about was women and relationships and just how women think. And I'm like, isn't this like when we talk about like what we like to do for fun and like TV shows and like where we went to school and like our careers. But no, he's going on these tangents about how he thinks girls should like have sex with you on like the first meet so that you can see if there's sexual chemistry, because if you don't have sexual chemistry, then there's like no point in pursuing things with someone. And I was like, are you trying to like gaslight me into like going home with you right now? Like, what? And honestly, I kind of just let him talk and ramble, because I was like, I've actually never in my life heard someone speak like this. And some of the things he was saying was actually kind of interesting. And while I do see his point of like, if you don't have that chemistry with someone, it's probably not going to work. Like, you're really going to look me in the eye and say, like, I expect the girl I'm with to like put out like right away. Like, you're really not going to get very far with that. And you're probably not going to find a girl, at least, that's looking for that like deeper, relationship or connection. And so, yeah, I'm trying to remember word for word what he said, but it was just a lot of like, I mean, like, I would totally take you home. Like, and I was just like, that's not happening. And he just kept, he wasn't being like weird, but like he would like poke me, like literally like poke me and be like, oh, you're so shy. Like, and I was just like, actually, I'm just really uncomfortable. And I'm usually pretty confident on dates, but I didn't think he was gonna like do anything to me, because again, there were so many people around us, and like he wasn't like being creepy at all. It's kind of hard to explain, but I was just like, I just don't really have an interest in furthering this. And so when we went to say goodbye, he was like, well, I guess we'll see if you text me or not. And I was like, yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess you never texted him again. And it was kind of funny because a few weeks ago, my other friend actually matched with him on a dating app. And she like was saying how this guy like refused to meet her out, and he like only wanted her to come over to his house. And he like didn't go out, he didn't drink or party. And she was like, okay, well, we don't have to do that. Like, we can just grab like an appetizer or something, small. And he like refused to meet her anywhere but his house. And I was like, wait, I think I recognized that guy's like little profile picture, because she like showed me a screenshot. And I was like, dude, that's the guy that like literally doesn't have any respect for women. And I like told her the whole story, and she was like, yeah, I'm deleting his number. But I still can't believe I actually, well, one, I guess it was, I don't want to say it was a waste of time, spending an hour meeting this guy, because it was actually just so interesting that he really truly thought this. Like, he was not like joking or being sarcastic. Like, he truly just talked about like how women have these expectations of men and they shouldn't have to, spend money on you. And he just wants to have sex right away to see if there's a connection. And I was just like, this is actually incredible, like what's coming out of your mouth right now. And I can't believe you're saying this to me. Thinking like I'm gonna totally use this in an episode one day, and that day has come. So that was crazy. Honestly, I hope that guy gets therapy. I don't know how he's gonna find a girl that's down for that, unless she's just looking for a one night stand. But yeah, that was crazy. I guess following, the dating app route we're on right now, I think guys have a lot of audacity when they ask us to just come over. Like, if we're dating and we've been talking and you're like, hey, come over, like, let's watch a movie, like, let's make dinner, okay. But if I've never met you and we've literally only been like texting on this dating app or even just over the phone, and you're gonna say like, hey, come over, no. Again, you could be a serial killer. Everyone watched Dahmer. Like, absolutely not. I think I'm at a point now where I don't even know at what point I'm going to feel comfortable going to a guy's house, because it's like, literally, like, I just watched the episode of Dahmer where he was like kind of dating that guy and he had feelings for him, but like he still killed him anyway. And then like, and that guy actually made him wait like a while until he like went home with him. And he probably did feel comfortable, but it's like, at what point is it going to be acceptable again? It's like, I don't want to live my life this way, but whatever, small tangent. But I just don't understand why guys think that that's like acceptable. And I'm sure there are some women out there who are just looking for that one night stand, that quick hookup, and they're like, you know what, whatever. But I don't know. I feel like depending on how the conversation is going, like, are you really getting a read from me that all I want to do is come over to your house and talk to you, to some stranger I've never met before? And it's kind of like that other guy, like with my friend. It's like you really aren't going to put in any effort whatsoever to meet me somewhere. Like, even if like we each order one drink, or you know what, you don't drink alcohol, that's cool. Like, order a soda, order a lemonade, like order a basket of french fries for us to share, or just something simple. It's like, I feel like, I mean, maybe guys are jaded too because they're like, I'm like, oh, I'm spending all this money on girls. It's like, it's not working out in my favor. It's like, I don't care. Don't ever look at me and say, come over, if I've never met you in person in real life before. Like, it's just so disrespectful. And the minute a guy sends that, I'm like, all right, well, he's not serious. Because like when I see that, I don't think, oh, this guy wants to date me. I think, oh, this guy just wants, me to come over and him to do his thing and then, never see me again. So I don't know. Be better, guys. I don't know. Something my roommate does, and I love her for it. I get screenshots weekly of her just absolutely roasting men on these dating apps. Is, that gets to a point where it's like, get off the dating app. So you like usually get somebody's number and you start texting them. And a lot of guys will be like, add me on Snapchat or add me on Instagram. Let's talk on there. And she will respond so savagely and just be like, oh, is your phone broken? Like, does your phone number not work? Or she'll be like, you lost me there. Like, and then she'll just never talk to them again. I'm usually like trying to be like slightly more optimistic, and I'll be like, I don't use Snapchat. I mean, I do. I absolutely love Snapchat, but that's for my friends, not to like text some guy. So I'll just be like, yo, I don't use Snapchat anymore, LOL. And I try to kind of gaslight them into thinking like, I can't believe you just asked me that. Just ask for a girl's number. Like, if we don't want to give it to you, we're not going to. We just won't respond. But asking for like a form of social media, or I don't know, a Snapchat, it's just, again, it's like another instance to us that you're just not serious about this, and why am I going to put forth my time and effort if you're not serious? Whew, oh gosh, I'm getting worked up. All right, the next thing I thought of was, this happened a few months ago, but I was at a bar here in Old Town Scottsdale, and there was just some drama going on between a couple of my friends and other people. Just this like really big gossip that was like all a lie. I'm not going to get into it because it's just not relevant, but it made me really upset, and I started crying in the middle of a club in Old Town Scottsdale on a Saturday night. And my friend was like, oh my God, like, let's go to the bathroom. And we're talking, and the line was really long because it's a Saturday night in Old Town Scottsdale. So we like stood kind of in the corner by the bathrooms, and as we're talking and she's like comforting me, and we're just having this very deep like one-on-one combo between the two of us, these two guys like walk up to us and they're like, oh my God, like, you're too pretty to be crying. And it was not in like a cute like girl slay type of way. It was like a, you're so hot, like, let me buy you a drink. And I'm like, do you not see that like we're having a moment right now? Like, tears are coming down my face. I probably have mascara smeared. Like, does now really seem like the appropriate time to be hitting on me and my friend? And I literally was just like, no. Like, I didn't have any even like politeness in me to be like, thank you. I was just like, not the time. And after we sent them away once, they came back like 5 minutes later and they were like, are you sure? Like, we'll go buy you a drink. And I'm just like, I mean, like, looking back, I get they were trying to be helpful, but I kind of saw it as they're seeing a girl who's clearly vulnerable and emotional, and they're probably thinking that I'm crying over some guy that like dumped me, and like, oh, here I am to rescue her. Because I feel like guys always think that we're crying about them, when in reality I was upset over like a friendship I can't even speak, a friendship type of situation. I don't know. If I saw a guy crying in the corner to his friend, my first thought would not be, oh my God, I'm going to go hit on him. Like, I mean, you're probably not going to see two guys in a corner with one of them crying, but I don't know. It's like, let's do some role reversal here. Like, would you do that to your guy friend? No. So, like, don't come up to me, a stranger. Like, I just wasn't having it that night. And again, it's like, I get where they were coming from, but I don't think it works. Like, maybe if I had gone up to them and been like, oh my God, like, I'm so sad, somebody buy me something, like, which one I would never do, then, like, maybe, but it's like, I was just trying to have a conversation with my friend, not, like, get involved in this drama. So, I don't know. Again, be better. Just be better. All right, I'm going to switch gears here because I want to end this on a more lighter note. But I dated a guy once, and he was a really good guy, actually. Nothing bad to say about him. But I was like looking back when I was kind of processing our breakup, some of the things he said to me, I'm like, they weren't like super serious or anything, but I'm just like, looking back, I was like, are you really going to say that to me? And I'm going to share them with you, obviously. So the first one is, I guess, more serious, but he told me once that, I'm not ashamed of this at all, that the only thing I can ever talk about is my dogs. And every time we're out, like at a bar or a restaurant, and we're like having a conversation, if I see a dog, like someone brings their dog into a restaurant, or we're like at a park or something, like I am going to say, hey, like, look, a dog, like, oh my God, so cute. It's not like I'm interrupting like the entire conversation. It's just like, oh my God, a dog. Like, who doesn't say that? And so he got mad because I guess I would do that too much, or I would just bring up my own dogs a lot in conversation, saying, because like I don't live with my dogs full time, they live with my parents, so I'll be like, oh my God, I miss my dogs, or like I wonder what my dogs are doing. And I don't know, maybe some people think that's crazy, but I am an animal lover, and I see my dogs specifically as my children. And when he said that to me, he did say it in like a serious way too. It wasn't just like, oh haha, like you're obsessed with dogs. It was like, can you stop doing that? Like, it's annoying. And I was like, are you jealous that I love my dogs more than I'll ever love you? Because it's true. And I always joke about that, but I was just kind of like, why are you so like upset that I have a good relationship with my dogs, and I like pointing out when I see other dogs because they make me happy, they make other people happy. What is the issue here? So Audacity raised, but and then there was another thing he said once, and this was like the very beginning of our relationship, so I was still kind of in my, I'm gonna try to be on my best behavior type. I am personally obsessed with wearing chapstick. I have been for years. Anyone that knows me really well, I will not leave the house without it. I put it on, I don't know how many times a day, probably like around, I don't know, a lot. Like I don't like the feeling of like my lips being dry. And so I like to carry chapstick around with me. And when we first started dating, he would say to me, like, I can't kiss you because every time I kiss you, like your chapstick gets on me. And then when you're not around and I don't have chapstick like covering my lips get dry and they get chapped. And I was like, wait, what? So like he was mad at me because I would wear chapstick, clearly. And then I guess when we would kiss, the chapstick would rub off on him. And then when I wasn't around him, that day or whatever, he was not used to like not having chapstick like rubbed off onto his lips. And so he would get mad at me and say like, I mean, I wasn't going to stop wearing chapstick, but I specifically remember him being like, I can't do this. Like, it's like messing up my lips or something like that. And I was just like, that sounds like a personal problem. Like, maybe you should invest in some chapstick. I don't know. But that one's a lot less serious. And he never, said, you have to stop wearing chapstick, or I'm not going to kiss you if you don't wear chapstick. Like that never happened. I think he was just kind of like, annoyed and was like, oh, like I have to deal with like chapped lips now, because a lot of people are not obsessed with chapstick and don't have to put something on their lips 24/7, whereas I am just accustomed to that. So maybe it just bugged him because he was like getting used to the feeling of it. I don't know. I'm not gonna make excuses, but again, it was like the audacity levels were raised, and I don't think anything else was ever said during our time together that really caught me. I'm sure I'll think of something again at some point and I'll write it down. But I guess to just wrap up this episode, it's like men really do have the audacity, whether it's something more serious, like a guy telling you he fully expects you to bang him the first time you meet him, or if it's someone telling you, hey, like, don't wear chapstick. Like, it could really go either way, but honestly, all the levels of audacity that men have are just astronomical. And I need to like ask a guy, I need to bring a guy on again and be like, is there anything that women do that you think is like, where do they get the audacity? Because I'm sure there are a lot of things that we do that we don't realize, but I think we as women are like a lot more cognizant and aware of what we're doing and what we're saying, whereas guys are just like, what? And actually, I just thought of another one. I'm going to bring my roommate on because she has so many good stories, but she was messaging this guy on Hinge, and I guess he had like asked her if she wanted to meet up at some point, and then they just like hadn't talked for a minute. So he had the audacity to message her and say, hey, like, this is verbatim what he said. I have the message. He said, hey, I only like to talk to 3 girls at a time, and if we're not going to meet up, I would like to know. And she was like, did he really just say that to me? Like, one, you're just like full on admitting you're like seeing other people, which, I mean, he isn't or anything because they haven't even met, but it's like, what? So she messaged him back and was like, yeah, take me off the roster, I guess. And I was just like, it's like, I don't think men think. It's like there could have been a much better way for him to say like, hey, I'd really like to meet you. Like, do you actually want to get together? And like, she would have probably actually gone and met him. But instead, he was like, yo, I'm trying to like figure this out. Like, I only talk to 3 girls at a time. Either you're 1, 2, and 3, or you're off my list. And it's like, I just don't think guys truly think about the way they phrase things and the way they put things into words for us and how it comes out. I think they think it sounds like, oh my God, like I'm prioritizing you. I want to meet you as like one of my top 3 people. But like, are you down or what? It's like, no, that's not how it comes across at all. And I don't know. Men just having the audacity once again. I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm sure I will compile another list of things that men do that are just really raising the audacity levels of society. And with that, I will see you guys next week.